I decided to quit. I moved on a whim to New York without a job.
Do you know what is a fractional executive?
5 full-time jobs. How is she doing that?
Mariya Valeva, my guest today, will share this with us. Mariya moved to the US at age 19 with just $300 and a suitcase. And today, she is the CFO to 5 companies at once. In this episode, we are breaking down how to work with 5 companies at the same time.
My entire sales process is inbound. I don't do outbound. I don't pitch.
How many followers did you have then?
Under 1,000.
And now today you have how many?
It's close to 35,000.
And the inbound client system we all dream of.
But first and foremost for me was
the world is changing fast. And for the successful professionals wanting an exit strategy from the corporate world, Mariya is living proof there is way out. Before we get into it, I'm Filipova. I quit my 25 years banking career to find financial and personal freedom. This is Change is Possible podcast, where I talk to people to help you do the same thing. Today, this is Mariya Valeva.
Hey Mariya, I'm so happy to have you on the podcast, and the topic we're going to talk about today is very interesting, and one of the topics that is one of the ways people that leave corporate careers can actually develop into their path and this way build their portfolio career. So thank you very much for being my guest.
Thank you so much for having me, Ani. It's a great pleasure, and especially to have a fellow Bulgarian doing it for very first time. So it is really a pleasure.
Great. So you're doing a podcast for the first time, and I'm very happy that you are my guest here for your first ever podcast. Great. So the topic today is very interesting. People started talking about it more, but not a lot of people know what fractional professional is. Can you explain with simple words what is fractional professional?
Absolutely, there is definitely a lot of misunderstanding, and it's a newer concept that's been coming up in the last couple of years. But in a nutshell, a fractional professional is somebody who has at least held senior responsibilities for over 10 years in different industries and environments. And that person is at a capacity where they can be fully embedded into the leadership of a specific company. And the biggest differentiator is that they hold the decision-making power, and also they own outcomes. So what that can look like, for instance, in my environment, I'm a fractional CFO. When I come on board, I work specifically with early stage and growth stage SaaS businesses. And part of that decision making is me owning the financial narrative. And that will be owning the operating model, the margins, and the outcomes that comes out of it is basically the business delivering healthy bottom line. And that is how I've been measured at the end.
Mm-hmm. All right. So basically, this means that there are companies which are smaller, maybe startups, medium, small size companies, and they need a CFO, but they cannot afford, or maybe there is not a need for a full-time person that is hired only for that job. And this is where the fractional professional comes in. Is that correct representation?
Yes, absolutely. It's the way I think of it is how the senior leadership it's being accessed over time for a specific fractional, actually for the specific inflection points that the business goes through. An example of that will be with, let's say with a startup that just raised Series A, now they need a capital allocation. Now they have to think about how do we communicate with investors? How do we tell the story internally? What do we measure? And it's a very optimal model for both the company itself, but also for the leadership talent to deliver value. From one side, you definitely tap into a lot of fresh perspective and a lot of legacy and knowledge that the fractional executive brings on board. But from the other side, for the fractional, it's how can they be strategic enough to prove and deliver that value when the company needs it most? And it's very fluid in a sense that you don't have to be there for years and years to do that. You can do it in a snippet of time of 6 months, of a year, 2 years, as long as the business needs your expertise.
Needs you. Okay. And so can you tell me the key differentiating elements between fractional professional, consultant, interim professional, freelancer, or advisor? So what are the differences?
That is another very interesting question. And a lot of it, it's still very blurry. But again, I think to hold to a higher degree, the biggest difference is decision-making power and outcome. And I will go one by one. So consultants usually are being hired to audit or give their specific framework on a given problem that the business goes through, deliver those recommendations, and then pass it along the leadership of the business. And they execute. There's no execution. There's no outcome that is, we're trying to get delivered here. So that is one. It's more project-based. Think of it that way. Freelancing, it's more task-based, right? Yeah. So maybe somebody needs a budget. You just do the budget, and that's all it's needed from you, nothing else. With interim is when you cover a specific gap in the suite, let's say, for 6 months, 12 months until another full-time executive is being hired. So there is this perception that the fractional leaders are pretty much between consultants and a bit of a freelancers. But I think for me, the biggest differentiation is this ongoing commitment and partnership to truly own and to truly deliver value over time for the business and when it needs it and kind of in the capacity of your expertise.
Yeah. And I guess the advisor is the same, very, very close to consultant, because they advise on particular thing and then they just go. And then the company decides whether they want to implement it or whatever they want to do with that
correct.
advice,
And
right?
also with advisory, it's a little bit more sporadic. It can add a lot of value, of course, early on, but you are more or less given guidance and some sort of recommendations, and they are passed along again to the team that it will execute them over time. But once again, I just want to make this absolutely clear, is owning the specific function or the specific expertise that is going to bring about some sort of outcome for the business that you operate in.
Okay, great. So let's talk about a little bit the market and what changed in the market that the fractional professional started being a thing. And then the second after that would be, how big is the market? How big is the opportunity for people who want to become one?
To start first with the change, what changed in the market? So we have seen in the past 10 years, like even 15, that a lot of the old playbook where we bring a full-time senior leader on board and we create that value over time with the business, it was no longer working, in a sense that we started seeing the management consulting coming on board, the gig economy developing, and also the issues that more and more executive search companies start experiencing. And the idea is that, again, the consulting did the job, it's created transformations for businesses. Then the gig economy comes and says, hey, you can be very highly skilled professional, but you don't need to earn income from only one employer. And then with the executive search, it was, now we have more and more senior leaders looking for more flexible way to provide that leadership along their kind of a career path. And all of those three forces, when they collide, they pretty much created the space for both the interim, in a sense, and then the fractional. And what really changed was the delivery model of leadership and how it's accessed from different businesses. And again, like the sweetest spot for delivering that model, it's truly for industries and for businesses around that like 5 to 50 million in revenue. But to your second question of how big the opportunity is, just within that global, I call it like a leadership on-demand space, having the management consulting and the gig economy, as I mentioned, and also the executive search, that is 1.2 trillion. And when you bring it to the second layer of what is the service market itself for fractional, it's about 2 billion. And then when you bring it down to the specific niche, is it fractional CFO, is it fractional CMO, and so on, that alone is close to 1 billion. So it's not, to put it in a sense, it's not a fad, it's not a trend. It's just, again, there was something in the model with delivering leadership expertise that was no longer serving how companies were looking to perceive that value from the expertise that they were looking for.
Okay. So what kind of functions can be fractional? So you said you're a CFO. I guess there is maybe COO. What others
They
are there?
pretty much right now in the space. Every expertise has its own kind of like a fractional domain. So fractional CFO is definitely one of the very well kind of market. Also the fractional COO, fractional CMO, also CRO, CTO. And also I have seen even on the kind of like on the mid management, fractional controllers. The space is growing. I think the biggest differentiator though, it's the journey that a specific individual has gone through. And by that I say, how many years do you have within your specific industry? What type of industry have you served? And what sort of inflection point have you gone through in order to justify the domain, your specific domain and knowledge that you bring to the business that you operate in?
All right. So so tell me about yourself. We didn't talk about who you are and how did you actually find and come across the fractional profession and got into it. Can you tell us a little bit of who Mariya is?
I would say I had less of a linear career path. Myself, I moved to the States right after high school. I got my economics degree from a really good university, and with economics degree, the two paths were management consulting and banking. I always question the choices of why exactly that is, but right after graduation, that's for the two most obvious. I hop on the corporate train with banking, and then after about 2 years, I decided that it's not a fit anymore. And the reason being was that I was always craving the more creative side of finance and always asking the question of why are we doing that this way? Why we're not doing it the other way? And it's so something entrepreneurial in me. It was always there. So I decided to quit. I moved on a whim to New York without a job. And I went to one mixer, and I met the very first founder I started working with. And that was my entry point to startup finance. And during the journey of 10 years and more, I was really fortunate to work with incredible business owners, founders who were going through an emotional and financial roller coaster with running the business from pre-revenue all the way to exits, and me being pretty much the right hand and creating those financial narratives and navigating those environments really propel me towards recognizing the different patterns of what the business needs at 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, and so on and so on. So around 2023, I got my master's degree, and I was in an incredible kind of like situation, and very good relationship with my with one of the CEOs I was working with. So we came to a natural agreement for me to try something new, and kind of I wasn't looking for a fractional, but that by default I became a fractional finance partner. And from there, a couple of months later, I started working for a fractional CFO firm here in New York, and I started understanding the nitty-gritty stuff, what is actually to work with multiple clients, to context switch all the time, and again, bringing back the point of like, what is the value and what is the expensive problems I'm trying to solve for them. So for me, it was a bit of a natural progression. And then 2024, I decided that I would like to start my own practice. And at that point, I started the company and literally did all the legal processes that I needed to do. And alongside with it, I also decided I was starting my practice, but I also want to build my personal brand around it. And it was very, very thought through from all the research that kind of like I did. And I took on it as a bit of an experiment, as if I'm launching a product. This is the one I'm going to keep iterating until I get to a place where I feel comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you said you build your company. So what is the type of resource you have in your company as a fractional CFO?
So I'm at the point right now where I have 3 full-time employees, and by that, I'm still the face. I'm still working every single day with my clients, but I have outsourced in a sense my execution. And by that, I mean, think of it as the financial analyst. So making sure all reporting gets done, making sure all the models are correct and everything gets updated, and pretty much just supplementing and making me much more resourceful for the clients as well. But I will step back because it's I think this true journey starts as a solo fractional to in a way that you start understanding exactly with the type of companies that you would like to work with, the type of business owners you like to work with. And then from there, adding, I call them helpers in a sense, adding your team. It's only valuable when you have a specific process and when you have a repeatable way of delivering that value over time. So it's not, I just want to make sure it's not, you don't start with that. Of course, there are many that just start with, I want to build a firm. And then they really create that ecosystem around it. But I think as a first step is always being solo on your own and kind of learning as much as you can.
Yeah. And so what are the paths here? And actually, first, how many companies do you work with all at one and the same time?
At the same time with 5. And that is absolutely important that you can, of course, depending again on the environment, but usually, and that's something probably should have make it much more clear with fractional kind of like leadership, is the other differentiator is that you work simultaneously with around 2 to 5 businesses. So, and that number is just given such that you can properly deliver and properly have the attention span such that there is no deficit across the board. But at the moment, I deliver for 5 on an ongoing basis, and then on the back of it, I do have just different setups for businesses that just need one-time off, let's say financial modeling and so on. So it's kind of like that's also the team helps a lot with.
Okay. So how does I'm sure that somebody who is watching or listening is probably thinking, oh my goodness, she has like 5 full-time jobs how is she doing that? And people probably imagine that you work day and night, nonstop, 24/7. Can you tell me what does working with 5 companies mean for your day and for your week? How do you structure your time?
My weeks are very different. I don't really have how do I say it, it's not set in stone. But to your point, the way I look at my schedule, so Monday through Wednesday, it's all reserved for client work. And I love to work, let's say, in the morning, starting early and kind of prioritizing the different commitments I have with each and every company. But on a very practical level, let's say on a Monday, I work and deliver for about 2 companies. And I still have, and that's a hard rule on my end, I still leave around 2 hours per day to work on my business. And the commitment towards the clients, it's really depending on the specific, I would say, deliverables, but also the specific amount of involvement that it's needed from me. So it's not, I also want to make it clear, when you're fractional executive, it's not that you are in the business on a day-to-day basis. You know what is happening in the business for sure on a day-to-day basis, but you're not executing on a day-to-day basis. So there are very specific points in which naturally there will be more involvement, and others which kind of create that cadence of very steady state. But to answer your questions, Monday to Wednesday, it's client work. Fridays are my kind of like a CEO day, which I just focus on the business, do a retro, and see what is coming up in the next weeks or so. I do not work 24/7 around the clock. I think we are going to go into that a little bit later, but I have created 2-sided boundaries with one side how I work with clients and how they work with me. So I think that is very important early on, but it's definitely not the point in which in which I do not have in a sense like a balance, or that I don't enjoy it. And I think that is very important. When I started building the business, it was more from a point of view of how do I provide a fulfilling lifestyle in a sense for myself, but also can tap into the different ways to support business owners.
And why don't we just go into that and just understand what is the mindset? How do you transition from a mindset of an employee into a mindset of somebody who has a portfolio career as a fractional professional? And because you have a portfolio anyway, you create content, etc. Have your personal brand. So what people need to unlearn, and what do they have to learn?
This has been the hardest part for me. I think it took me more than around a year to just train myself to really start thinking as a business owner, because I think when we have operated in environments where we always seek permission, it's really hard to move to a space where you fully have the autonomy of create technically and design the life that you want. And by designing the life what you want, it's designing the business that you want. And it comes with a lot of negotiables. So for instance, as I said, how do I want to actually structure the business versus what do I see other people doing it? And then I think the biggest part is moving from that employee to business owner mindset is removing the layer of I work for and going into I own, I solve. And it really, really takes a lot of time, and it's truly kind of personal growth exercise to a certain extent, because then at least with my journey, I came to a place where I can really know the value that I deliver, and I can really know other kind of like needed day-to-day communications and decisions. for me. But yes, I think this is the hardest. This is really the hardest part.
Yeah. So I guess that working with 5 companies and different types of people, you have to be very good in saying no and setting boundaries because I can imagine, you have agreed, okay, I'm going to spend, let's say, 3 days with you, and then people naturally would call and try to get more out of you. I mean, that's a very, very normal people's reaction, even if somebody is very, very good person and doesn't want to take you for granted, but it just happens. How do you deal with this?
It was definitely a learning journey, another one for me. But it starts with the very first conversation. It starts with the very first interaction that I had, let's say, with a potential client. And I think um, the biggest unlock for myself has been, how do I communicate what I do and how I operate, and creating those little commitments and clearly understanding. And as I said, at the end of the day, I'm here to help, guide, and execute, and on in the sense of the financial story in your business. But on the other hand, I'm not there to do the day-to-day kind of like firefighting. And I think when that is delivered in a way that is structural and understandable, of course, to your point, there are moments in the business whether now we have to prepare for, let's say, fundraising, and now we have to put more commitment and more, let's say, kind of like communication in between. But I think those are parts of the engagement that you also learn how to set it up and how to communicate such that you set yourself for success, but also you set your client for success. Because I think it's very natural to think it's perceived that they shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, and it's perceived that I shouldn't do X, Y, and Z. But that it's not how it works. I think it's a lot of it starts with day one, and a lot of it starts with creating, to a certain extent, boundaries that are well communicated and defined on kind of like on the first place, because also that takes art and mastery.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But also you have to, once the boundaries are set, you have to follow them, and you have to make sure that you stay within them, because that's even more important. Well, I mean, after the first step of setting the boundaries, it's very important to keep them, because they can disappear, right? So that's like a day-to-day. You're doing that every single day, and I guess for the last 3 years you become very good at it.
It's a muscle that you train every single day, as you say, Hani. But at the end of the day, I also want to make absolutely clear that it's a dance, in a sense that everybody has to do their step in order to create a very like a beautiful flow that at the end of the day benefits both sides. Because I will be very upfront with you, and we might go into that as well. Sometimes not every in the page, like every client, it's a good fit for what I do. And that's also something that had to be very much evaluated from both sides. And that is totally fine. Because at the end of the day, if that is not being defined clearly from the beginning, then the entire relationship is just going to start on a very shaky foundation.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. And that's a very good topic. Let's talk about how you find your clients. I mean, what do you do? Is there a sales process, or how do you nurture the relationships? How do you find and nurture the relationships so you can at one point pitch your services?
So I mentioned that when I was giving you a little bit the backstory of my own journey, but my entire sales process is inbound. So I don't do outbound. I don't pitch. I kind of build my content strategy around every piece of insight, every piece of of knowledge that I share and been sharing for a year and a half now, they are the only ways in which I attract clients. And I did that very intentionally early on. When I started the business, I said I'm just going to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to actually create a brand that I believe in, that has value behind what I'm doing. And it's really driven by two things: by my, of course, um, professional um, history and just like capabilities and domains that I own and what I have done. But the other side is also the personal side with what do I and how do I differentiate myself in the space, because that is at the end of the day also something that a lot of fractionals struggle with. There's just so much of so much, and then how do we know um, that's the right fit. But first and foremost for me was building a personal brand, being incredibly cringe at the beginning, because I didn't know how to create the content, like how to speak about even finance, because it's a very dry topic. It's sometimes can get very educational, and you scroll and it's just another a line of content that exists out there. So for me it was starting that, finding my voice, finding a way in which I can relate to the pain points of my ideal ICP, defining my ideal ICP, which is basically the persona, the client persona that I would like to serve. And then from there was ways such as I said, one side is for me, the main medium is LinkedIn, then creating my newsletter, and then pretty much driving that insight over time. And when a founder is in that inflection point when they are ready to receive help, because that's also very important, then they reach out directly to acquire how I work, and kind of like the value they get out
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you said that you started posting on LinkedIn, right? When
It
was that?
was in September of 2024.
2024. And how many followers did
I
you have
had
then?
under 1,000.
Oh, and now today you
It's
have how many?
close to 35,000.
Wow, amazing. And you've done this with just content that you create yourself. Do you have somebody to support you, or you're doing the content
At this
yourself?
point, I have someone that helps me just think through topics. It's more like, think of it as research of finding much more interesting case studies,
Okay.
but all the content is created and kind of validated by me.
Okay. Amazing. So absolutely. And I have I also started my journey on LinkedIn, and basically everything I do, all the clients, everything comes from that. And YouTube a little bit. Now that my channel is a bit bigger, I have 30,000 subscribers. Now some people on LinkedIn come and say, "Oh, I watched your video and I came to see what you're posting on LinkedIn." It's a very interesting thing to realize. Oh my goodness! So people discovered me on YouTube. So it's very very important. I completely agree with you. And I work with professionals who my ideal ICPs are professionals who are in corporate life and they want to change this and start something else, their own business or become a fractional or just have a portfolio career, several income streams. And they all, when it comes to personal brand, everybody's cringing. No, I cannot write about myself. I cannot. It's every single. I was the same also in the beginning. I was just like, oh God, this is what I'm going to write. But that becomes part of your life and day. So it becomes, it's your distribution
Absolutely.
network.
I think that
as
is the
simple as
biggest
that.
part. It's basically you're building your distribution, and I think it's very easy to say, yes, we are at X amount of followers, which followers means honestly nothing. It's just, it's
Yeah.
It's just a projection of how much consistency you have built, because as you said in the beginning, it's extremely hard to put yourself out there, and it's because you are putting putting yourself out there, being seen by ex bosses, former colleagues, and now out of nowhere you appear every single day. And I go back actually to my September, October post of 2024. And it's very painful for me, believe me. But then it's just a testimonial in a sense of how much I have grown and how much I have, at the moment that I'm at, learned to use my voice. Because I think that was another part. It's part of part of this topic that we discussed, like moving from employee to a business owner in a sense, and having the permission, right, to tell the story of how you navigate your career right now, whichever way it looks like. And it's done. It's done. I think it's done miracles in a sense. Don't want to sound dramatic, but in a more practical way, to your point, it's the most beautiful distribution channel and channels that you can create across the board. Because a lot of people would think, well, you just can do a lot of outbound. But that's also me. I do not like selling. I don't like selling. Even back in my role, if you put me on a sales call, it will basically, I will get the best deal out of anybody, but I cannot do the other way around. So for me, again, it was very intentional. How do I start this and make it scalable and enjoyable for myself? And outlet was a big kind of growing pain. That was the way.
Yeah. Well, creating content every day and being out there is a form of selling anyway. So because you basically are talking about, are sharing your thoughts, things that you've discovered, things that you researched, and you're sharing with other people, and that's sort of soft selling, right?
It is a form of selling. It just really depends on how you create the content. And I have gone through just like yourself, we have gone through a lot of testing and experimentation. Some topics works, other topics don't work. Some forms works, other forms doesn't work. And I think when you get to a place where whichever content you're delivering, there is a value that you get to a place, somebody reads the post and say, wow, I just learned something, I educated myself on something, or I never thought about this that way. The more and more you do it, it's more like psychological. The more and more you prime your potential client to reach out at a certain point of time when they're ready, and that's very important. Like that, it is factor.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So how could somebody who is still employed at the moment test the fractional path and to see whether they're good? I mean, how they feel
That's
about it?
That's a really good question. I think the best way to test it is with advisory. And I'm saying that because when first it's a very, I think to an extent it's an easier entry point. It creates less anxiety, so to speak, around how are you going to, be involved in the business, and what exactly domain of knowledge will be accessed through you. But it's a good way for you to see how other businesses operate, what environments they operate in, what context even your expertise can be put into. And at the end of the day, I think also it's very different when you work with a client. Even when you're advisor to a client. You're not advisor to your pretty much like full-time employer. So then it's different. You are seeing the different types of narratives and different. You kind of learn to read the room, and you read the room in a very different way. So while you're employed, you definitely can try that, and you can do it to a small medium-sized businesses or startups. It's I wouldn't call easy entry point, but they need it the most because of the scarce resources. that they have, but it has to be again in a specific domain that you like to explore, and that's something also that is part of the journey. Because I'm coming from a very generalist type of profile, and even to get you, okay, I'm serving finance. I'm not serving finance operations, people operation, and like 10 other things because I have expertise. That is also something. So defining that core competency that you have.
Great. So if people want to work with you or reach out to you, where can they find you?
LinkedIn, Mariya Valeva. That's on the way. Also, FounderFirstPartners.co. And I also run my Tiny Margins newsletter. So any of those places, you can find me and reach out.
Amazing. Well, this was really, really great. I personally learned quite a lot. It was thanks for explaining all these things and how the fractional executives role work. I wish you absolutely all the best.
Thank you, Annie. Thank you for having me. And again, I do think the fractional path can be extremely fulfilling way to add it to your portfolio career. So anybody who is curious, please reach out to me. I love talking about the journey and just how can I be also of help of anyone that is curious about it. So definitely want to be a resource. Really, really enjoy the conversation.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm just going to stop this.
Okay,
Don't
no.
close it.
I'm not leaving.